folks. Back for some more Ultraviolet Anomalies, November 2016. This one happens real fast, already happened, uh, but single flashes often appear much more interesting when you uh, inspect them a bit closer. And you can see four distinct things happening simultaneously. And I'm continuing with the same format, giving you, or trying to give you, a 10-second clip of raw footage, then is slowed down, usually by 95%, although it will vary a little bit. That's 95% slowed. And it appears to be moving in the same frame, but it's a very structured element. And I have to ask that you forgive me for the captions. I'm going to continue with the captions, but I had some problems apparently with the font, and it was my choice not to redo the whole thing. Now this is pretty interesting. Something moves towards the light and never exits. And it looks very strange upon further inspection. There's no animal or insect look to it at all, but it never exits the light. And there is some sort of structure there. I can't imagine what this was. As I said, these are anomalous events that take place in ultraviolet, in the ultraviolet range. This one takes place at 51. Zoomed and slowed. And then the still shot, I try to do an extreme zooming. And it shows a very similar structure to the last one too. Very square, box-like. Now, it's interesting because often I don't get airplanes and the flash at the same time. But the flashes are very unusual usually. And remember, there's no source or explanation for these other than objects or lightning. Obviously, it's not lightning. Now, I do catch a meteor later in the video, but most of these are flashes, and they appear single flashes, but it like this one was a double flash, a very structured look to it. And again, these flashes are very interesting when you bring them up, and it's the same object that happened prior. There are no explanations other than this is either an object or it's lightning. And by object I mean it could be a meteorite, but meteorites can't move two directions in the same frame. And usually they'll show you a trail to it, a very smooth look too, as you'll get to compare. And this happens above the light. And often things get washed out by the LED infrared lights. But you can see in slow motion this actually moves in altitude and direction. It would have to be defined as a fastwalker. And whether or not these are actual, there's the meteorite, by the way. And as I zoom in, you'll see how smooth this thing looks in comparison to the other videos. And many of the craft that I've caught look like more like inchworms, but you can see the trailing tail. It is very clearly a meteorite and no real structure. Now, can meteorites just burn out in a flash of a moment? Sure, they can. But that would just be a single spot in the sky. And often these have trailing orbs beside them. You'll see the upper right-hand side. And often I use the negative and the green screen because they actually show more than edge detection does. Now this is odd, and this is why I show you these things. I have no explanation for it, so it's an anomalous event. Now this is very interesting. This appears to be a single flash, but when examined at slow motion, it's a triangle. Amazing. That's the low, that's the upper right, and upper left. And they show a very regular structure, although movement might be implied, or possibly it's the way this craft is oriented towards the camera. But like I said, these single flashes are usually extremely interesting. That's a single flash, but it's obviously 3 different things taking place at the same time. And it could be organic. If so, it's something that possibly is associated to the kind of movement that has been previously documented. By other photographers as not insects, but something that's unknown, organic, that flies through the air at a very fast speed. And you'll see that often these have a secondary structure accompanying them. And again, single flashes are often multiple structures simultaneously showing up, which kind of disqualifies meteorites or lightning. And I don't film during any kind of weather. This is all very, very clear skies or very, very partly cloudy. If it's a mostly cloudy night, it's not worth it. It destroys the whole look of it. And this is obviously some kind of a possible disk. This might actually be the way things move through parallel dimensions. Who knows? We don't have this technology publicly, at least. And this has a real colorful look to it. And remember, this is all in full spectrum. It shows the ultraviolet end for the most part, although it does pick up infrared. Not a whole lot, and it does not pick up stars real well. That's why when events happen like flashes, they are artificial in nature usually when picked up by this camera. I'm not saying that they're all objects. I'm saying that something might else be going on, possibly even spiritual. And this looks a little neat when you do the negative and the little orb shows up yellow in it. And this happens so quick, but it's almost invisible across the supermoon night that I had to slow it by 99%, and it's still not slow enough. It just moves way too quick. Obviously, these flashes are self-luminous. They're not reflections. And I thank you for your views. Please forgive the captioning this time. I'll have it fixed next time.